Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. I hope everybody's doing well. Wait, I believe and have faith that everybody's doing well and that everything is unfolding perfectly. I feel great today, and I'm very excited to introduce to you a woman, Catherine, Catherine
Yes.
Navarro. Navarro. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her before I let her take it away. Catherine Navarro is an executive coach, energy worker, and guide for high achievers who get what they want in the boardroom and the bedroom. They work with both feel and formula to tailor an approach that is specifically aligned with them, letting go of the forever hustle so that they can lead from their fully resourced human. Her mission is to leave no one behind by working with them to reclaim all parts of themselves and their inner resources. She currently runs a beginners group called Pulse, and she also serves in a one-on-one coaching capacity. Amazing. And I'm sure there's more. How are you doing today, Catherine?
I am great. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of the platform, to have been invited on to speak on whatever topics arise. I know that, for all the viewers out there, this gentleman here is providing like a free flow platform. So you'll get to witness everything unfold as we watch it unfold. So it's quite exciting to see where this conversation takes us. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Right. And I'm happy to have you here. I read a little bit about you. I've looked through your profile and just watched a couple of little things, and I'm excited. I'm like, okay, she has some things going on that need to be uh, highlighted, and I would like to highlight what you do yourself any way I can, which right now is on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. So let's just jump right into it. Tell us more about yourself, what you do, your passions, your goals, your formulas, your things that you put out there to help yourself and other people. Just yes, elaborate on that a bit.
So I'll start with when you said passions. The first thing that struck me is personal development. It is a passion of mine.
Right.
From I think the first time that I ever noticed perception. I know
Right.
there are plenty of books out there that speak about how we filter the world through our own experiences and the things that we've been through in life. Like you and I can watch the same movie and the takeaways will be different. And the takeaways are
Perspective.
because
Perception, perspective.
perspective, perception.
Yes.
We are taking the nuggets that apply to us based on our own background, our own generation, our own DNA, like what 7 generations, what's been happening 4 generations in our own like familial DNA.
Right.
In addition to the conditioning of society, what makes someone provide one person a store, like buying, whether it's groceries or clothing, a particular level of respect and reverence versus not another. I thought this was
Yes.
really interesting. And so I used to walk around the earth, sort of paying attention to people because I just loved people watching. For
Wow.
context, I was raised in a fairly violent home. I'm
Right.
okay. I don't need anybody to come save me. I'm good. I'm grown and still alive. But because of that, I learned how to like somewhat walk on eggshells.
Right.
And that would be like the negative as we talk about it. But as they say, whatever wound you have is part mission. So yes, the wounding part of me was like walking on eggshells, but the skill that I learned was that I am really good at catching like the slightest of threads. And
Right.
I'd say, oh, this person is like
Very
this
observant and
extremely observant because that's what
open
keeps you
and
alive.
aware.
That's what keeps you alive. And
Amazing.
so it's developed into a love for personal development, a love
Yes.
for enunciation, a love for vocabulary, a love for language, a love for seeing how we form deeper connections?
Right.
How is it that we have so much ability to connect, whether it's social media, cell phone, text? There's Marco Polos, you can send each other's videos, you can WhatsApp, you can go into the DMs, but yet so many people we're in a pandemic and people are lonely when you have
That's
more forms of connecting than less.
right.
So what exactly is missing, right? It's the ability of people to really connect. And that part is like, what part of you are you willing to show? What
Yes.
part of you are you willing to allow to be seen? Are
Yes.
you willing to take out the masks and the layers,
Right.
the things that we wear on a day to day that we present with? And this is part of my passion. So when I serve my clients, I'm looking at what's really inside there. What's the real thing that we're talking about? Yes, we may be speaking of, let's say, a discomfort with your parents,
Okay.
but what's the thread? What's the lesson there for you? Like, what is your golden nugget? And once
Right.
you start to untangle things as an adult, that's who's curious, who's really in inquiry, the world looks different. Back to the movie, right? It's like, oh, I just saw this. I've been here before. I've learned this lesson before. This is a different human. And wait, I see it differently this time. Oh, I
Right.
see it differently because I have either a different perspective, different filter. I've been able to take away the rub that this particular pattern used to have. And now I
Right.
get to just enjoy it and
Right.
live it. And in that
That's,
enjoyment, the freedom that comes with that.
you know, if I may elaborate on that, on some part of that,
Yes.
oftentimes it's the adversities and the that we go through, the hardships, or per se, that actually, if we change our mindset, that can actually propel us into, amazing, circumstances, amazing beings. That knowledge, that wealth of knowledge that you acquire from, a person like yourself, being, aware and observant, no matter what situation that you're in. That's the key right there. So
I would argue that that's why they're there. That's why the adversity is there. That's why that thing rubbed you. Oh, such and such said X, Y, or Z. I didn't particularly like that. It's less
right.
about what they said that rubbed you. It's more about what's in it for you, right? Like
Right.
everything's happening for you. All the lessons are here for you and definitely that propel you because as the same as in English 101, the way you get from 101 to 102 is that you learn the lesson. Right. So if
Definitely.
we're still just in the same hamster wheel learning the same lesson, well, life is kind of dull. But if we start to actually slow down and look at the lessons that are there, well, I mean,
Right.
life really opens up. You get to
Right.
see what's happening inside of you. And
Absolutely.
in the beauty of that, you get to meet yourself in a completely different way.
Right. Yes, I've learned that here, um, not too long ago, really. I mean, to
Mm.
no matter, like you talking about, uh, if I can put it in a title on it, is triggers that people that give you. I mean, that set you off. You have to look within yourself. Why am I triggered by this? So it gives you an opportunity to work on yourself, no matter what is going on around you, or how people are, what are they saying or doing. Like, look within. You know. So
I mean, I like to call it so a different reference point for triggers for me is facts.
right.
So if someone came to me and said, "You are a woman, I can't believe you're a woman," I would be like, yeah, that's completely what I am. I mean, yes, it's a way where we use name calling or some form of fact, and then I'm now offended, right?
Right.
When it's a trigger, I'm offended. I take offense to whatever opinion you have or whatever political view you have, um, but if I'm neutral about it, it doesn't really matter. If someone
Right.
comes to me and says, "You're just the craziest giraffe out there," I'd say, okay, I don't think I would even engage in that, right?
Or not
If
even
we
say anything.
engage, we engage because somewhere inside of us, there's a hook.
Connecting to that, what they said.
That's right. They
Yes.
say
Right.
something, and I look at it like, in prisons they have that barbed wire. I feel like
Right.
it's get barbed somewhere. Something happens, and somebody says something, and it nicks you, and you
Right.
begin to like internally bleed, and you begin to self-soothe. Maybe
Right.
you get nicked, and you decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to have a glass of scotch. Or maybe I'm just going to go home and I'm going to have dinner with my family. I'm going to eat. Or maybe I'm just going to, you know what? Just going to take a deep breath and I'm just going to forget that this happened. But you got nicked.
Absolutely. And that's
So
why, yeah,
we have something that's called pain body, right? Trauma body,
right,
where we hold all these different pieces and parts that have become nicked over the years. And nicking has been happening since we're 7, right? Since your personality identity stopped absorbing and started to decipher and say, oh, this is me, this is not me, this is part of my lineage, this isn't. And you're just on repeat. So, yes, it's really important for us to slow down enough to say, hey, what's here for me?
right. That's absolutely amazing. Now, can I ask you,
Ask whatever.
without without giving away too much of your uh technique, how do you what are some of the first steps you do in regards to, helping, like, if I was a client to come to you and okay, and I'm asking for your help in whatever clarity, and there's these destructive thoughts that's going on in my mind, and is that something that you would work with, or
Well, the
I mean,
first thing I would do with anyone is just talk to them. I
right,
feel that everything that's happening for anyone is perfect. And I recognize that depending on where the person is on their path, is whether or not they can use the word perfect or they use horrible or horrendous, or right, depending on how you see the world. Uh, Normally, clients, when they first come to me, will say, nobody has problems like mine.
right,
That's a really common one. And I
yes,
say, thank you. Like, can you say more about that? Because I want to hear what is happening there for them so that I can see the opportunities that I can point to.
right,
So, in this question, I think the best way for me to respond or answer is it's more of a white glove approach.
okay,
So, I don't really believe I've taken plenty of courses. I mean, courses out the wazoo. I have a forensic psych background. And like I said, part of my passion is personal development. So I'm always looking or leaning or reading something. It's just what I really enjoy. It's what it's my video game, right? Like the
yes,
human is my video game. Like I love playing that game. And for
yes,
me, it's like an Olympic sport. I practice it all the time. So when I say white glove, it's I don't need for you to learn A, B, and C and the whole alphabet, all of these things so that you can perfect and I don't need for you to or for any of my clients to like muscle through it or to get their mindset straight or anything like that. I just want to hear what's happening
right,
because there's no point in you understanding how gravity relates to your life if gravity's not the problem or if gravity's not where your attention is. So
right,
I want to go with my client wherever the attention is. And that's why I say it's white glove. White glove is like you see that spot on the table and they come over and they clean it, or you clean it yourself because you want to make sure that it has that white glove smooth clean.
right,
That's what I am. So when I think of when I call myself an executive CEO, I see everyone as the CEO of their own life.
right,
Because you are the executive of your own life.
yes,
Where you invest your time, the quality of your attention, how you consume your time, how you give your time, all of those things, up to you. Only you can vote. You're,
ultimately,
you're
yes,
it. You are the cabinet. You decide. And so, being the CEO, I like to see myself like I'm on the right hand. And if you need me, I'm there. And if not, I see you completely capable.
right.
But if you want somebody to
So
like,
you're empowering as well. You're empowering people.
well, I'm not here there to help anyone. Like none of my clients are victims. I'm sure that they can get there on their own. Just like similar to how you can go to the gym and work out yourself, or you can have a trainer, someone that's there
Yes,
that has seen the things, seen the patterns over and over again. I'm the person that's like, oh, what I see here, can I offer my reflection? This is what I see.
right, right.
So
That's amazing. And so, what started this passion for you doing, this? I mean, when did this all start?
the passion of seeing human behavior started really young.
Yes, I think you said that you always were
I
observant.
was always
When did
observant
you officially
because
start?
of my life, right? My life circumstances. And then when I went from high school to college, and I was paying attention to why do some people succeed and some don't.
Oh, okay.
It's really easy to think that, well, this person came from money or this person's parents went to college and so they're having more success in college.
Right.
Or I was just really curious as to why things were turning out the way they were turning out.
Why
It
how
might be
things
really
work?
weird. I'm
Yes,
like,
no,
I'm like,
that's
why is this happening to this individual and then this other person with the same markers? It's looking different. Like, what about that is different? You
right,
have the same thing because up until that point, right? 1 + 1 = 2, no matter how you looked at it.
right,
And all of a sudden, the more I looked at it, I said, oh, no, no, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. There's a
right.
different variant
There's
here.
some variances in there somewhere.
There are some variants. And when I went to the forensic psych, when I started to work in that field, it was just really sad to see people that were going through incarceration and mental illness. And
Right,
I thought, I can't possibly stay in this. And I did other corporate things. I went into finance and I did other things. In 2009, I had a health scare and I made some big decisions. And Western medicine really didn't have that many answers for me. So I decided I would go back to school and learn as much as I could. And that was really the propellant. If I'm
right.
going to be here,
Yes,
then
we all
my
are.
1 + 1 is going to equal the best quality of life that I know how to live.
Right. That's amazing. So, do you how do people find you? Like, I mean,
Usually things like this. I mean, maybe I'm on a conversation on a panel in Clubhouse, or I do Clubhouse on Mondays at 3 o'clock right now with one of my colleagues, and we do a show on desire, helping people dig their desires. That's one way.
right,
Another way is teaching on different platforms. So I'll have fellow colleagues that invite me into their rooms, and maybe I'll teach on femininity, or it really, I've been in personal development for a long time. I can pretty much teach any class. So
right.
it's just me in front of rooms and people asking me questions, and that's how people find me. I mean, I know that one of my clients I met while outside in the most mundane of places. Just, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you, etc. We've been together for almost 3 years now. And she just said to me, I've really been looking for a life coach. And I said, oh, well, what kind of life coach? And actually in that particular example, I wouldn't take her on as a client until after about 1.5 years. I
Now,
gave
what?
her I would not take her on as a one-to-one client until after about 1.5 years. She was really results focused.
Yes, because I was going to ask you, based on what you just said, how do you determine who you take on as a client and when, and how does that
I
work? You
take
have to
on
feel a
people
certain
who are
energy, or you give them some questions, or
I have a pretty good idea
right,
of when someone is looking for a result.
right,
They're in it for the end. They're talking
yes,
about the end and they just walk through the door. And I don't
right,
know what it's going to look like.
right,
Like, you could be a woman or a man in your 40s with very little baggage and you see transformation very quickly. Maybe you haven't gone through that much in your life, or maybe you've worked through a lot of the different things. It's killing your ego is hard work.
right.
And there's a
Yeah,
part of you that has to be willing to let those parts of you die,
I can vouch for that.
right? It's not the easiest of things to
Right,
see yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I don't think we've met before. I don't really recognize you. Actually, I don't even know if I really like you that much.
right,
I remember my old life. Maybe it wasn't that great, but it was really familiar.
right,
And so that's how I sort of determine. Normally, I would say that it's mutual. I think that in the beginning, maybe I'm lying. Maybe it makes me feel better to think that it's mutual. Maybe I'm like, I
no,
think that, when I tell my clients, you and I, we're not there yet. You're not there yet. Like, I think you still need to try different things and see.
right,
There are so many, let me put it this way. There are so many coaches out there that teach mindset work, that teach habit work, that teach rituals,
right,
that are all about results,
right,
that I tell them, I think there's somebody out there for you.
right.
If you're ready to step out of that paradigm and let's just go into what's happening for you and have somebody in your corner with your particular circumstances, then I can do that.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. Um, what do you feel? And you answered that, but if you want to elaborate on it more, you're welcome to. But What makes you unique as
I,
a,
I think
yes,
that's I think the quality of my attention.
right,
I do a lot of personal development work on myself, and I probably will till the day I die. And so
right,
the more I can get out of the way, there's a phrase that says your coach you can only take your client as far as you've been willing to go.
right,
And I've been willing to go to like the depths.
right. And I resonate with that totally, because that's one of the things I'm very transparent about to my followers and friends and fans and family, is that I'm a work in progress myself. So I never come from a disposition or a position that I know it and I've conquered all. No, I'm constantly learning. I go through adversity, and I still am overcoming certain things. And I have to remind myself and just work on my growth every day, and remind myself, just like you take a shower every day. I have to, remind myself, read these, this study and read every day, and, you know, work on my mind and body and everything. So yeah, like you said, it's a continuous process, and I don't think it'll ever stop.
I don't think it'll ever stop. I think
No,
the real, real Olympic athletes in this game will be forever students, forever
right,
teachers, forever in the game. I think this is why
right,
we're here.
right,
I honestly think that this is why we're here. I don't think we're better than our clients. I think that it could just be that we're a few steps ahead in some areas, and they may be a few steps ahead in other areas. And the magic is about what you can create together.
right,
If
right.
somebody comes to me and they just want to get,
You're probably
I,
not the person for them.
I'm probably not the person for them. But in actuality, they have to bring all of themselves forward in order to really to get the best out of it. Transformation, and that's why you see sometimes, and this is a great thing that we're touching on, because I'd love to talk about this, which is people will say, oh, I used to do that so well, and then like I fell off the wagon, for example, right,
Okay,
with whatever said thing. They
okay,
didn't really see themselves through the change all the way in the other side. And I would say it's because it's surface, right? Like
right.
transformation, when it happens, it happens. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be deep, and it can be long and it can be deep.
Can be
And when
deep.
it happens, it just happened.
It happens. Yes.
You are like, oh, I remember when I used to do that thing. I don't do that thing anymore. And
Right.
that's it. It's not more than that. It's not like, oh yeah, I stopped doing that thing and then I started doing that thing and then I stopped. It's more, you just have, as a transformation continues to happen, let's say on the same topic, whatever that may be, it's just different layers. You continue to learn it deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's fully embodied, right? Like to the point your name is embodied. So when someone calls your name, you don't ask yourself, is this me? You just turn, hey, hi, right? Hey, Catherine, I don't have to think about it. Likewise, I'm not thinking, oh, yes, I don't do that thing anymore. I don't like curse in traffic, or I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, or I don't, whatever.
Right.
It's not about picking it up again.
Absolutely.
It's handled.
Right. And I liked how you said layers. Yeah, that's important, because we all have those layers. We just have to be willing to, you know, peel them back, and start getting in there. Yeah.
Always being a beginner, right? Like
Right.
being willing to always be a beginner is super important in this work. The
Yes.
minute that if I ever catch myself saying, oh, I thought I looked at that already,
Right.
I'll know that my ego stepped into the room
Right. Yes. I consider myself a beginner every morning when I wake up.
every day.
Every day. That's awesome. So is there any particular scenario, circumstance, story, testimony that you can think of that stood out to you, from anyone that you've encountered or worked with, that you were able to assist them from being here to here? Is there any particular story that resonates or stands out that you were able to uh, sort of get them going from one path to the next, or healing or anything?
Yeah. I'm smiling because it's a very like testimonials, right? Are very
Right. Right.
what's the word I'm looking for? They're great testaments, and how about
Right.
I just read something? I mean,
Yes.
because I don't have something that sticks out in mind, but this I just received like a day ago. So
Okay. See,
I've
see, this is what this platform is all about. Spontaneity and it just, yes. And it's,
I don't
you
really
can't,
post as many testimonials either,
yes.
because testimonials have this particular flavor of, hey, look what I can
Look
do.
what I did. Yes.
You can come here too, and
Right.
you can get a new car, and you
Yes.
can get a new car, and
Yes.
it has,
See, but the difference is on this one is that you didn't voluntarily put that
yeah,
out there.
I didn't
I
voluntarily put it
asked
out
you, so
there.
it's not like that you're
That's true. That's
coming
true.
from
But
a place of bragging. I just wanted to know, like,
I completely get it, and
yes,
I want to say that I wish testimonials were more of like that when my clients sent them to me. So if my clients are listening,
right,
that it was like, this is what I have been able to do.
right, right.
Because that's when it really lights me up, because
Yes.
I get to see. Oh, you just made me think of a different testimonial.
No, no, it's fine. No, while
Hang
you're
on.
looking, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll talk. But yeah, it would be the same thing if you had, a client or a friend or someone that you've worked with or, assisted or enhanced their life in some way. If they were sitting right there next to you, I would ask them the same question, like, how can you tell me, you know, how, things have been going since you've started working with Catherine, you know, just, just out of curiosity, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
not to um, put a sales pitch out there, but just to know, there's people out there want to know like that whatever
But
testimony that you give, somebody's going to relate to that exact same thing. I'm not saying you got to get deep or tell people's names and addresses.
okay,
Just maybe a little something. That's all. Just a little
I'm gonna read
something.
some of it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Today's market crash is an opportunity. So a few days ago, the market crashed.
Right.
Stock market. Okay. To give context, today's market crash is an opportunity. It's not a reason to feel so bad. I remember this happened exactly a year ago, and my choices were so different. The level of self care that I feel today is so different, and the execution of my plans is now at another level with very different intentions. I love this place of development for my true self. Today, I acknowledge and celebrate the freedom this journey gives me
Right.
and the happiness to trust that the best is yet to come.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's because of this
Work.
amazing
It's because of the work
person.
that we did. Yes, thank you. It's what we created together, but it's really a testament of what it looks like when somebody's willing to play big, when somebody's willing to look at their things, when somebody's willing to say, you know what, I want more from my life than what I've been doing. I'm willing to trust another individual, to be honest with them, to show them my authentic self in the good and the bad, so that we can create something phenomenal.
Right.
Like the internal freedom that people feel when they start to actually inquire in their lives and say, how did I get here? What's
Absolutely.
actually happening?
Right.
Why did I make this choice today?
Yes. It's those questions. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's those questions that we ask ourselves that we have to be willing to ask and to seek and to feel it. Yes, exactly. So what I want to know is how can we find you? Or do you have websites? Do you have platforms? Do you have, I mean, is it email? Is it a
The
program?
easiest, the best way to find me would be, yeah, you can email me at Catherine@CatherineNavarro.com. But I think there's an info at CatherineNavarro.com. You know, websites are websites. I,
Okay.
I would say, and that's a possibility, that's an avenue. In
Okay.
addition to, I think the best avenues is to either find me on Facebook or Instagram and just send me a message and say, hey,
Catherine Navarro on Facebook, right?
it's Coach Catherine N on Facebook and Coach Catherine
Coach Catherine N
N,
on
yes, the
Facebook,
first letter of Navarro, and Instagram.
Instagram.
And you can send me a direct message and say, hey, I saw this interview or a conversation that you had with Luke Bryan Smith, and I
Right.
thought it was great. And I would like to introduce myself. My name is such and such, and just let me know more about yourself. Right.
Right.
One of the things that I am really open to, I mean, as of right now, I still have the time, is that if people reach out to me and we're not a fit, I'm still willing to chat. Like, I don't
Right.
have anything against
Yeah, I'm not going to just say get lost, I don't fit with you.
yeah. I love to get to know people. And I mean, I have a beginner's container now, which is something that I didn't have before. And in my
Right.
beginner container, we do a lot of energy work, which is not something that I did for a long time. For a long time, that was just specifically for my one-to-one clients, because I don't want anybody to use energy work as a clutch.
Right.
Like,
Now,
oh,
when you say energy work, for those of us that don't know, what is that? Energy work.
energy work is when you work on beliefs through the energetic layers. So we have 12 different subtle bodies. So you have your energetic body, you have your mental body, your physical body, and emotions and beliefs get stuck in our bodies.
Right.
So when I do energy work, that's what I'm looking at. Where in your system is it stuck? How can we make some way in there? How can we dislodge it so that
Right.
you can have a better so it could be a more easeful transition. Usually,
Right.
if you're coming up against a particular, like, I don't want to call it block, but let's say a level of resistance that
Right.
you're saying to yourself, I have so much resistance around this, but I don't even know why. I don't even have a real human 3D on this plane reason for this to be occurring.
Right.
And I'll give you an example of that.
Okay.
This woman writes, I didn't want another night to go by without saying thank you. There are so many shifts happening in my life right now, internal and external. And the session with you was instrumental in helping me dislodge some pretty stubborn blocks. So
Right.
when we do energy work, we're sort of bringing something in so that your energetic system, so you can bask in what it feels like to vibrate a little differently.
Right.
And I don't I don't subscribe to like high vibe and everything's good and everything's right. I think that you work on your energy in addition to your patterns, how you show up in your life, what's happening for you, how are you responding to the external stimuli? Are you in response or are you intentional about the way you live? And I think that it's a very good combination to put your attention on when you want to be intentional about the way you live.
Absolutely. That
Anyway,
that's
I took
amazing.
that away to a different place, but that's what I'm meant to say.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Yes. And that's exactly what I don't want to say looking for, but that just the small segment. You didn't have to get deep into someone's personal thing, but just yes, just that encouragement of that you've given people, that is something to be commended. I mean, and I'm glad that you were able to share a couple of those with us. That's amazing. And you know and that's very humble of you that you don't particularly like to put those out there, and I'm glad you put it out there, but in a very tasteful way, without really digging into people's personal lives and putting out there, which I knew you wouldn't do that anyway, but just to share a little bit of that shift that you are able to help cultivate. I believe that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so before we conclude, is there any last thoughts, anything that you would like to share or
I would
statements?
say you're doing a series right now, so I know that you're going to bring a lot of people on stage, and I'm assuming you're going to have a particular following that's going to probably follow your series. And if there was anything I wanted to let that your audience know
Right,
is that real personal development isn't for the faint at heart. It's
right,
like cleaning up the sludge of the closet that's been closed and it has mold and it has all these things inside. Sometimes they're unsavory. But the freedom that is felt and the peace that comes from the excavation is beyond anything that really words can express.
Right.
The first time I ever laid eyes on women that were able to be both feminine, powerful, soft, and grounded, it seemed like an oxymoron to me
Right.
because I always looked at powerful women like cold women that were just closed off from their hearts because how do you make those hard decisions?
Right.
And with personal development and excavation, I've realized, oh, actually, when you can hold others and yourself responsible for themselves, that is the most loving and kind thing to do. And
I
I
agree.
want to encourage your audience to be loving and kind to themselves by giving themselves this gift of self
Wow.
exploration.
Wow. Well orchestrated. Thank you very much, Catherine. I appreciate having you here, and I appreciate you uh, giving some of your time, because time to me is the most precious gift you can give someone. And I just want to thank you and commend you for the work that you're doing, for the passion, for your passion. You might not even look at it as work, but like you said, we work on ourselves every day. So I want to commend you on the work that you're doing on yourself, and from that overflow pouring out into the world, and just raising the vibration of the planet, and just the healing work that you're doing. I want to thank you for that, and for coming on here and sharing some of that, just allowing us to peek through a little bit of your world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brian, for having me.
Enlightened, empowered, evolved.